India versus Pakistan, it's a cricketing rivalry that as such doesn't really feel like much of a rivalry due to, of course, a variety of reasons. For one, whilst India are definitely, let's say, established giants of the game, Afghanistan still very much climbing their way up the top, and whilst they do show promise, definitely not one of those sides that would be competing at the same level of India. There's also the fact that, truth be told, India have shown a lot of very big brotherly treatment in a positive way towards Afghanistan. Don't forget, Afghanistan have more often than not used the Lucknow Stadium, the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Stadium, as a home ground. They've often trained at Noida stadiums. So there is definitely a lot of help and largesse that has been extended by the BCCI towards the growth of Afghanistan cricket. You'll remember that when Afghanistan got test status, their first ever test match was in fact played in India against India. So definitely it's not one of those rivalries that let's say is intense or anything of the sort. In fact, it's very friendly between a lot of these players, helped by the fact, of course, that a lot of Afghanistan players do play in the Indian Premier League. That being said, India versus Afghanistan is definitely going to be a match that will see a number of key battles within the match that will potentially help decide where exactly it is the direction of the match heads. So will it be an India win? Seems very likely. Afghanistan win at best would be an upset, but it's cricket. You can never really rule anything out. So in this video, what we're going to do is look at the top 5 key battles that could potentially decide the fate of this match. And we're starting off with one right up top, Rohit Sharma versus Fazalhaq Farooqi. Now I know what you're thinking. Rohit Sharma versus Fazalhaq Farooqi does seem in many ways like a little bit of a mismatch. The only reason we're picking Fazalhaq Farooqi in this particular instance is because he happens to have that one, let's say, weapon that is very much able to penetrate the chink in Rohit Sharma's armor. Left-hander who's able to swing the ball inside. Now Rohit, when he gets past those initial jittery stages, can often be a very destructive batter, but as was once again proved during the match against Australia, in which Josh Hazlewood, a right-hander, but still someone who managed to get him dismissed with a ball that swung in late. Fazalhaq Farooqi can get the new ball to talk against Rohit Sharma, and definitely Afghanistan would fancy their chances of getting rid of the Indian skipper very quickly. However, if Rohit is able to negotiate that early phase, you best believe he will cause plenty of trouble for the Afghani bowlers. Battle number 2 is between Shreyas and Mohammad Nabi. Now again, I know what you're thinking. Shreyas, generally speaking, a very good player of spin, particularly off spin. He tends to dispatch more often than not. And Nabi, whilst an effective bowler, isn't really someone who's a wicket-taking option. But I'm picking this as a key battle due to, of course, the fact that Shreyas, when he's up against spinners, tends to be very attacking. So that can be, let's say, a double-edged sword, because on one hand, he'll get you plenty of runs, and he particularly takes a fancy to spinners who look to bowl a little quicker through the air. See just how badly he's hurt Tabraiz Shamsi in the past to get an idea of what it is I'm talking about. However, the flip side is that Nabi is someone who's a very clever bowler, so he might just mix things up a little bit, and if in let's say the attempt that Shreyas normally does, in which he tends to, let's say, go very attacking against spinners, he can lose his wicket as well. So this might be a very interesting battle for me personally, because I think it could very well decide the fate of the match. And not just that, Shreyas is in desperate need of some runs. He got out to a very terrible shot in that first match against Australia and would be looking for redemption at this particular match. Look to get some runs under his belt. He did do well against Australia, but again, he needs that one big World Cup knock to really establish himself, to be that one player who opposition players would fear in the Indian middle order. Key battle number 3, and this time we're focusing on, let's say, Afghanistan's batters versus an Indian bowler, and of course we have to talk about Jasprit Bumrah versus Ibrahim Zazan. Now Zazan is probably one of the more dependable batters, let's say, that Afghanistan have, someone who can more often than not get the job done as far as batting long and getting big runs at the top of the order. However, he's also one of the only 2 really reliable batters they have. We'll get to the other one in just a bit, and that is why Bumrah's role as the leader of the new ball would be very important in this regard. It's a very simple fact that if Bumrah can get him early, then it should be a very easy match for India, regardless of whether they are defending a total or looking to restrict Afghanistan, because Zazan is one of their better batters and someone who can score big runs if he bats long, but get him out early and suddenly that Afghanistan batting lineup looks very troublesome indeed. And key battle number 4 takes me to, of course, the other batter who I'm talking about, who tends to be very reliable for Afghanistan, Rahmanullah Gurbaz, and the person who I'm looking forward to him battling the most, Kuldeep Yadav. Now, I bet you're asking why exactly Kuldeep Yadav, given the fact that Gurbaz is also an opener and Kuldeep is actually a spinner who would be coming on much later. The answer is simple. Gurbaz in recent times has proven to be a pretty adept ODI player, so he doesn't necessarily look to go slam bang from the word go. Instead, he looked to pick his moments to attack and bat very long. That's something that's evidenced by the fact that in recent times he's gotten 2 scores which are around the 150 plus mark. So daddy hundreds, to use the colloquial term within cricketing circles. He's managed to master that ability. So if he can actually bat long, then you would hope that Kuldeep, someone who's probably India's best wicket taker right now in the middle overs, would be the one to get rid of Gurbaz, because Gurbaz, again, as I said, has that ability to bat deep and make big scores. More often than not, him and Zazan are the 2 biggest scorers for Afghanistan, the ones who can look to bat long and score big scores, but everyone else contributing and chipping in. So this is a very key battle, especially if Gurbaz can bat long and negotiate the early phases and get through the new ball, because he tends to look to especially attack spinners as well. He's someone who likes to hit a long ball, and that is best possible against spinners of the ilk of Kuldeep Yadav. Number 5, you didn't think we were going to leave this out now, did you? It's just not possible, and whilst I can talk about cricketing reasons as to why it is that a Virat Kohli versus Nabi battle on the field would be great, I mean, it's impossible to ignore the chatter that has gotten around this particular rivalry when you look at how it is that things unraveled spectacularly during the 2023 edition of the Indian Premier League. You remember that, of course, there was that match in Lucknow between the Lucknow Super Giants and the Royal Challengers Bangalore that absolutely ended up descending into chaos. You saw a fight between Kohli and Gambhir, verbal spat, and one that Nabi constantly got himself into. There was a social media war that followed, and in fact, now everywhere it is that Naveen tends to go in India, he gets taunted with chants of Kohli. It happened during the IPL. It even happened during Afghanistan's first game of the World Cup at Dharamshala. And to make things even spicier, this particular match is going to be taking place in New Delhi, the hometown of King Kohli. So it's definitely going to be intense atmosphere, and Naveen has shown in the past that when poked and prodded by the crowd, he tends to give out responses, whether it be celebrations, a shush sign, or even egging on the crowd to keep chanting further and further. For me personally, this is the key battle I'm looking forward to, and not necessarily for cricketing reasons. And that's it for us on this edition of the top 5 key battles. What are your thoughts? What do you think are the battles that would be the ones to watch out for in the India-Afghanistan game? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go right ahead and check out some other videos that we've done. For now though, from my side, it's bye-bye.